A new update to the banned and restricted list is coming soon. Tuesday, March 21st at 8 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, the announcement will drop with the new updates to the list. And as soon as I heard this, my and many other people's thoughts immediately wandered to a certain card called Borsalino and his entire package. This card is incredibly broken. It probably should never have printed the way it was printed. And I do understand Bandai wanting to buff yellow, because yellow has been underrepresented in the meta for a very long time. But needless to say, I think they overdid it. This card, this Borsalino card, should never have been a generic yellow card that pretty much every yellow deck plays. It is just way too strong that you can combo this with the Quasar help card and also set up the trigger with the help of 2K Hiyori or Grand Magnon. That is an insanely broken combo that you can very carefully set up every single game if you just see your pieces. And let's be fair, it happens more often than not, pretty much. So I think it's very reasonable to say that Borsalino is the card that will be hit with a big hammer to the head in this new updated banned and restricted list that drops tomorrow. As of recording this video, it's tomorrow. We cannot know for sure, of course, but for the first time ever, pretty much, yellow has the biggest representation in the meta. And it's fair to say that the biggest reason for that is Borsalino and his entire package of cards. Will he get banned completely, or will he get a pair ban? Will he be allowed to be played in perhaps only Vegapunk or all the Egghead type decks? Who knows? I think this should have been a type locked, if not leader locked card from the very start. So I definitely could see something like that happen. As of recording this video, if we're looking at the Eastern meta, Blue-Yellow Nami has the most representation in the meta. And a big part of that is probably because she can very effectively run the Borsa combo. She does have a lot of other strong cards as well, so it's not like the only thing she relies on is Borsalino, but it's certainly helping her a ton. So, that being said, if in fact Borsalino gets banned or pair banned or something like that, you could also argue that maybe the event requires our help gets banned, or that you can only play it in, say, Vegapunk, for example. But if that happens, if Borsalino and requires our help, one or the other or both, all of a sudden are more or less out of the equation, how then will the meta develop? You could speculate that Nami will not see nearly as much representation anymore. She could still be a strong deck, but with the Borsa combo gone, she will not be as hard to kill anymore. And Nami is one of the decks that is quite difficult for Black Crocodile to handle. So is there a world where Borsa gets banned and Nami sees way less representation, and Croc could potentially step out into the spotlight a little bit more? Who knows? It could happen. Now, that's not to say that Nami is the only difficult matchup for Crocodile. I won't pretend it is. And Nami, as it is by no means an impossible matchup for Crocodile either, but it is a difficult one. Especially if she also runs the 10-drop Whitebeard blockers. Because if she can chain those blockers, there's basically nothing Crocodile can do, because you cannot stun multiple 10-drop bodies unless you have Patchwork to help you lower their cost as well. But also the 12k blocker bodies are really difficult to swing through. Either way, it will be really interesting to see how the meta develops going forward after the announcement. As of now, we will go ahead and take a look at 3 ranked games with Black Crocodile. One of the games will be a good demonstration of just how difficult the Nami matchup can be for Crocodile. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, just sit back and enjoy these upcoming 3 ranked games with Black Crocodile. Okay, game number 1, we're going up against Rosinante. Yellow-purple Rosinante. And this deck can be kind of dangerous. They have a lot of tricks, and they can spam the board quite effectively with the help of their leader effect, get a lot of big bodies out really quickly, as well as defending their law characters by taking a life instead of letting the characters get KO'd. And what's more, they have a lot of big blockers that they can hide behind as well. They also have healing potential and all of that good stuff. So we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and take a free block here and definitely want to defend this one. They already have a Rosinante and Law on the board, which is to be expected. Now we're most likely gonna, we're gonna do a search, and to see this Dust Bones is really nice, so we definitely want to get him in trash so we can play him out with the Bone Clay and thereby resting their Rosinante and Law. This way they cannot free block anything, so now we can poke at their Law blocker. They use the leader effect to take a card from life. We can get rid of their Searcher, and we poke with our blocker at their Law blocker again, and then we use Patchwork to freeze their Rosi and Law. So we're off to a pretty good start here. At this point though, we probably will have to let go of both our characters. And yeah, they play out the 8-drop Rush Law that can heal as well. So here I'm thinking maybe I should counter this one as well, forcing them to commit their last swing into this Dust Bones as well. That way we can stay healthy for a bit longer. We do lose our entire board though, but I think that's fine for now, because this turn we're gonna go for a Miss All Sunday play. Unfortunately, we don't have a Searcher in trash, so we're gonna have to go for a Miss Wednesday probably. Yes, we pop Bone Clay, give the cost reduction to their Law blocker, and play out Mr. 5 to get a blocker and some card cycling. Now we use Miss Wednesday to lower the power of their Law blocker and swing into it, forcing them to take a life to save it, and we pass the turn. They go 7 life. This turn we will have to start taking some hits. We do have a Dawn up for a Ground Death, which is good, and we have a blocker on the board as well. But they have a number of big swings coming in here. So we're gonna cash in on the Ground Death right away. We have to take 1 hit and block 1 most likely this turn. So I take this one, we get another Croc. That will be important, and they opt not to swing with their Rosi and Law, which is perfectly fine for me. I'm just glad they didn't swing with him. Then we could save our blocker on the board instead. So now I'm gonna poke 5 face first, see if he wants to block immediately. I don't think he will. He should just counter out of this one. Yeah, he does. So we get a card from hand. Now we swing 8 into 6 here. Will he take a life for this one? He blocks and 2K's out. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the Nightmare Luffy instead of Croc, just to bump our leader to a 7K. We have Dawn up for our Ground Death, and we have a blocker. So I'm feeling pretty safe this turn. Otherwise I wouldn't have wanted to play Nightmare Luffy over Croc. if I didn't feel like we could afford to take a few hits here. They haven't used any Dawn so far though. So I'm gonna 1k out of this. That feels bad. And this was a surprise. I did not expect them to play a 10-drop Doflamingo here. That took me by surprise. So now we cannot rest All Sunday or Mr. 5, which is bad. But it is what it is. We're gonna have to play around it. They have one blocker up still. So we're gonna start with a 5 poke face. See, will they free block this one? Or will they simply counter? They even let it go through. Okay, so now we swing 9 into face. They take that one as well. This turn, it's definitely time to play Croc. So we choose to stun the 7-drop Law, give the minus cost effect to Doffy, replay Croc and stun Doffy as well. This means if he wants to swing with any of his characters, he's gonna have to turn his blockers sideways this turn. So we are at 7k. He wants to get rid of our Nightmare Luffy, but he mistakenly swings 7 into it. He probably misread it or something. Because Nightmare Luffy obviously is a 9k body on the field. He plays another Rosy Law. And pass the turn. So his board is incredibly dangerous. And we only have 1 life. We do have double ground death, but not much counter apart from that. Gonna start with a 5k poke here. Because he wouldn't want to turn any of his blockers sideways for a 5k poke. Let's see what he will do here. Slow beam, resting our Croc. Gonna go ahead and swing 9. He actually take the last life, so that leads me to believe that he most likely can heal next turn. Once again, we're gonna stun the 7-drop Law and 10-drop Rosinante. Doflamingo. So he only have his Rosinante Law blockers to swing with, if he want to swing with them. We are feeling pretty safe here though. We have a good amount of counter in hand. We're a 7k leader and we have a blocker on the field. And he has to be sure that he can win if he's gonna go for game. Because he sits at 0 life at the moment. So if he's gonna turn his blockers sideways, he gotta know he can win. And, well, let's face it, he most likely cannot win this turn. So here I'm gonna 2k, 1k out of that one, saving the ground deaths. He's likely, okay, he plays Gamma Knife on our Nightmare Luffy, but I definitely want to protect this one. And he won't have many more swings this turn. He's gonna heal once, but his hand is pretty low. I don't think he will swing with any of his blockers here. Even plays another blocker. No, he swings 5 into 5. That's an easy 1k. The ground death that we used, I believe, made it so we had 30 cards in trash, bumping our Nightmare Luffy to a 10k or a 5k while it was still affected by a Gamma Knife. So we're gonna start with an 8k. They blocked that one. This turn, I'm pretty confident we can go for game and win, because we also have a ground death in hand, so we can nullify one of his blockers. I'm just waiting for him to turn 1 blocker sideways. And he takes the last life, sitting on 2 blockers, 1 down up though. But here's it. It's pretty much game over. So now we cost reduce his last blocker, use Ground Death to nullify it, and go 17 phase, and that's game. So yeah, Rosinante is a really strong deck with the support it has received over the last few sets. He can be really aggressive and defensive at the same time. But in this game we saw how you can play around all his big blockers and everything as Crocodile. And keeping a Ground Death in hand for when you're about to go for game is always incredibly useful when your opponent sits behind blockers as protection. So good game to our opponent. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, Crocodile Mirror. This is an interesting mirror, I think, but it's pretty much determined on who gets to go first. You always want to go first in the mirror, and our opponent took first from us here. Yeah, so they're asking about the Lucy matchup, which can be a really difficult matchup for Crocodile. If Lucy finds all his pieces, he can remove a lot of bodies from our field. He can get rid of Miss All Sunday and the Nightmare Luffy quite effectively. He can even bottom deck our Crocodiles if he has double Just Watch Me Ace event and Barrier Pistol. So that matchup can be quite difficult if Lucy finds all his pieces. Enough about that though. In this current matchup, we do have Bone Clay on curve and 2 Sala here. So as I said, in the mirror, you always want to go first if you can choose, if you get to choose, because whoever gets to play Miss All Sunday first will have a really good upper hand. So we started this game in a pretty disadvantageous position. He goes for a Bone Clay on himself into Mr. 5, cycling some cards, establishing a blocker. We do have good late game pieces in hand already though, and double Ground Deaths, so it's looking quite good in regards to that. But we don't have a great play for this turn, so I'm actually going to use Miss Golden Week here to draw 2 Trash 2. This way we can set up the trash, hopefully get something to play this turn as well. But I'm going to go for the search here instead. Picking up a 2k, so now I'm just going to swing double 8 instead. That way, if he blocks, he will have to pitch a 2k, 1k to save the blocker as well. Okay. So he gets the first Miss All Sunday. He's easily gonna get rid of our Sala. This is exactly why it's really, really good to be the first one to play Miss All Sunday in the mirror. He effectively pretty much destroyed our entire board, leaving only the searchers. Now we only had Sala, but still. So we're not up to a great start because our opponent chose to go first. I'm waiting to see if they will free block this one or not. And they do, eventually. So, because they have established 3 bodies already, I felt forced to play Crocodile here instead of All Sunday. Just to make sure I wouldn't have to take tons of hits this turn. Just trying to stall them a bit. And now they play a Croc of their own, stunning our Croc. So I think it's time to set up I think it's time to play Nightmare Luffy. I can't remember how many cards I have in trash. I'm just trying to get some cards from his hand by poking at their Mr. 5 here. Using the leader effect to stun their Croc, and then we establish Nightmare Luffy. We have milled enough to be a 7k now, and we still have 3 lives. So there's still a good chance to get back into this game. They play Shirahoshi, and I'm a bit surprised they did that here, because we didn't have 6 cards in hand. Perhaps it was a mistake from them, or they just wanted to refill their deck, because they have been milling quite aggressively. And while you do want to mill a lot more than usual, or I should say a lot more than before with Crocodile, now that we play the Nightmare Luffy, we don't want to mill too hard. If we have Luffy, or if we expect to see Luffy and to play Luffy, we want to mill down so that we have 20 cards in trash. But after that, we stop milling, because we don't want to be at risk of decking out. Okay, so we get one body off his board. He takes a free block here, as expected. Just wanted to see. Gotta do that, that brain check. Okay, so we stun their 2 biggest bodies here. So now we're starting to get back to board control. Our opponent does not have a Nightmare Luffy of their own, which is really good for us. And yeah, here we see they have milled way too hard. I think they still... I didn't realize this at first, but I believe, yeah, when they used the leader effect to pop Croc here, they chose to mill 2 as well. I have no idea why they did, because that left them with only 1 card in the deck. So basically, all I have to do here is just pass the turn and I win the game, because they will deck out by drawing a card. So perhaps it's possible that the opponent doesn't know that it's optional to mill 2 cards when you use the leader effect. I have no idea. It's difficult to believe, I think, because in the sim it's very clear. You get a button that asks if you want to mill or not. Who knows what the deal is, because it's a fact that they pretty much milled themselves out of the game here. So that's something to really watch out for when you play Black Crocodile. As I said, we do want to mill more aggressively now that we play Nightmare Luffy, but not that aggressively, because then you just deck out and lose, as this guy did. But even if they hadn't done that, I felt like we started to get back in control of this game. He did get another Croc out at this turn, but the fact that we were able to play the Nightmare Luffy way before him helped us stay healthy a lot better late game. So this turn we could go a lot more aggressive and establishing a 3rd Croc of our own and sit on 2 down for double ground death as well, with triple 2k in hand. So I think we started off in a very disadvantageous position, just because of the fact that our opponent chose to go first. But we were slowly able to claw ourselves back into the game and get more and more control over the board with the help of Luffy and Crocodile here. So that's some insight as to how you want to play the mirror. Just take this as a lesson from our opponent. Do not mill too hard with Crocodile, or you will just end up decking out. Okay, let's move on to the last game of today. Okay, now we're up against blue yellow Nami. They chose to go second, which already feels a bit bad for us. Sure, we could get to play all Sunday on curve, which is good, but it makes it so that we have to wait one more turn before we can play Bon Clay and establish a real body on the field. Countering out with double 1k just to get us bones in trash here, and also negating their leader effect, their draw with the leader. Now we're gonna try to attack their Kiku here while we are too high in life for her effect to be active, but we're just gonna get 2 cards from hand. That's okay too though. While you can't really effectively starve Nami because of her leader effect to draw cards, it still feels good to eat up 2 cards from her hand like that. Nami is really unfortunate in this situation, but to be expected as well. So now we're in a sticky situation already. We're on our 7th turn and we do not have a All Sunday to play. This search wasn't great either. We get a second Croc, which is good though, because we do need to have a lot of Crocs late game against Nami to be able to stun as much as possible. We're just gonna go ahead and play a blocker here. We have double ground death, that's good. Poke 5 to get a card from their hand. You could argue I should have swung into Kiku as well, because I don't think... this is quite unfortunate. They grab blade my entire board. I don't think they would have let go of Kiku to heal that turn. I think they would rather keep it on board at this point to keep the pressure on. But either way, this is unfortunate as well. We pretty much had to go down to 1 life. So now we're in a really bad spot. Gonna take a card from hand, or yeah, they take a life. So now I have to play Croc to stun Kiku and Nami, pitching a brick. So we're in a super bad spot, but we could definitely get back into the game still if that wouldn't have happened. To see this 8-drop kid trashing our last life is, yeah, it pretty much means the game is already over. Yeah. We're in a really bad situation right now because since they trashed our last life, we cannot afford to play another Crocodile. Because then we would have need that, sorry, can't speak now. To play another Crocodile, we would need to have tons of counter in hand so we can survive many big hits, which we don't. We do have double ground death, but that's about it. So we stun. Now, just a quick thought. It should have been the Croc that I pitched here. I should have pitched the Croc here, because we can never afford to play Crocodile in this game anymore, since we don't have any life. We can't leave ourselves completely open to attacks. So I didn't think that through enough. I should always have pitched the Croc here and played double blocker instead and sit on the last on for a ground death, because we would have been able to cycle cards with Mr. 5, potentially drawing more counter as well, and Mr. 4 would have allowed us to grab more counter back from trash as well. So then hopefully we could have survived these 3 hits that will be coming next turn. So this was a mistake of me to pitch this one instead of the Crocodile. I guess maybe my reasoning in the moment was that if I somehow were able to clear their board in coming turn, I could then like stun the only character they had left and sit on 1 blocker. I don't know. That's not something we can do now though. So yeah, that was just an honest mistake. I should have played double blocker here instead. At least we have done for both our ground deaths here. And they go with e6. I thought they would split and go for game here. But they don't. This feels really bad though. We have to use a ground death to get out of a 6k swing. Certainly not feeling too good about that. And then they heal instead of going all out. So yeah, our opponent are in no rush whatsoever to end this game. We're the ones on a clock. So, well, now we see more Miss All Sundays. At this point, the game is pretty much over. I'm just gonna poke their Nami to see if they potentially want to let it go. But arguably, in this position, we have no hope of winning the game, more or less. They have, let's see, 8 cards in hand and 2 lives. They have 2 done up as well. So, I mean, yeah, we couldn't go for a game here. I mean, if they were completely bricked and they bluffed these dons, then by some miracle, maybe we could win if we split here. The best we could do is 8, 9, 10, and I mean, the odds are extremely low that that will go through. So the game is pretty much over. I'm just trying to see if I can pull some kind of magic trick off here. Poking a 6 to see what they do, and they let that go. Revealing a Borsalino. There's the yellow monkey in their life, and they play another Nami. So yeah, now it's looking really dark. I'm just gonna play it out until the end, either way. Just wanting to clear one of their bodies, but they defend it. Just doing the cost reduction and giving it to Kiku just in case I draw into a patchwork, which I didn't, and this search is super unfortunate as well. The only thing we could pick up was a crocodile, a brick. So yeah, that's game over. Let's just watch it until it's over though. Just embrace the pain. No, but this matchup is really difficult. And now in this game, Nami didn't even play the 10-drop Whitebeard. That card makes it even more impossible or even more difficult for Crocodile, because we cannot chain stun 10 drops and we cannot swing past that blocker, since the biggest character we have is a 10k. But even without Whitebeard and even without playing Borsa, Nami can be a really difficult matchup for Crocodile. As I believe I said earlier, it's by no means an impossible matchup, but in games like this one, when they get a fairly aggressive curve and also play the kid to trash our last life, that makes it really, really difficult. Had they not played the kid, if we could have kept our last life, then maybe we could have gotten back into the game, because then we could have afforded to play another Crocodile to keep stunning, establishing a bigger board ourselves. So then there could definitely have been a chance to get back into the game. That kid, that was pretty much game over at that point. Once they trashed our last life, that was pretty much game. I just tried to desperately play it out from there to see if we could pull something off. I did make that mistake of not playing double blockers in the turn that when I pitched the Mr. 5 instead of the Croc I had in hand. That was certainly a mistake. That could have made some kind of difference, but honestly I don't think it would have necessarily changed the outcome of this specific game here. Anyway, who knows? Maybe Borsa will just be a memory soon. It will be really interesting to see what's in store for us with a new announcement and update to the banned and restricted list. So, and it is fairly reasonable to think that if Borsa gets banned in some way, shape or form, Nami will not see as much play in the meta anymore. And that will certainly be good for Crocodile. But it's also a good thing for other strong decks like Purple and Nil, for example. So it's going to be interesting to see how the meta develops. Can't wait for that. So stay tuned for the next video where we likely know what the updates to the banned and restricted list are. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.